So let's get to our crunch the numbers. And in my book, it is on page 261, and we're going to be calculating FICA, OASDI, and Medicare taxes. So we want to look at these four individuals. So we've got Anna making $250,000, who is self-employed. Roberto, who is making $90,000 and who works for Johnson Manufacturing. Maria makes $120,000, also works for Johnson Manufacturing, and Jim, who makes $50,000 and is self-employed. So this gives us the different information here. So for FICA, the employer pays 7.65% and the employee pays 7.65% if you're actually working for an employer like Johnson Manufacturing. If you're self-employed, it is 15.3%, which is those two added together. For OASDI, it is 6.2% for the employer, 6.2% for the employee, and 12.4% if you're self-employed. And if you remember, we were talking about the wage base and how in 2020 the wage base is $137,700, but for our crunch the numbers and in the book for that year it's $128,400. And Medicare Part A, which you recall is required, it's compulsory, so that's why we're paying for it up front. So it's 1.45% of the taxable earnings of the individual, and so that's paid a little bit by the employer and the 1.45% by the employee. And if you're self-employed, it's the whole thing, so 2.9%. So 10-11 says, how much do the employer and employee pay in total for OASDI each monthly pay period? So let's go ahead and go on over to the spreadsheet here. And here we're going to be calculating total for the employer and the employee per month for old age, survivor, and disability insurance. Okay. So as you can see here, Anna makes more, she makes more than the wage base of $128,400. So because she makes more than that, that's all we're going to pay for OASDI. So it's $128,400 divided by 12 months, because we're looking for monthly pay periods, times the 12.4%. So the whole thing here, because she is self-employed. Okay. When we go to Roberto, on the other hand, he makes $90,000. That's below the wage base. So we calculate the whole thing, $90,000 divided by the 12 months to get to that monthly payment, times the 6.2% of the employer and the 6.2% of the employee, or the 12.4% total. And that's how we come up with this $930. Okay. Then it also asks for how much do the employer and employee pay for Medicare each monthly pay period. So this is still 10-11. We're going into Medicare now. So here's our Medicare information. Medicare doesn't worry about the wage base. So for Medicare, you make $250,000 divided by the 12 months to get to that monthly payment, times the 2.9%, again because she is self-employed. And that is $604.17. Okay. Roberto, again, $90,000, so his total wage divided by 12 months times 1.45 plus 1.45, which is still that 2.9%. And that's how we come up with $217.50. So you can see for Maria making $120,000, how to calculate that, $50,000, just same thing, $50,000 divided by 12 times 2.9%. Okay. Now, 10-12 says, how much does the employer pay in total for OASDI each monthly pay period? So now the employer, okay, it's just all we're going to calculate is the employer part. So Anna is self-employed. So she is the employer and the employee. So it is going to be the same as it was up here in 10-11, okay? Because she's self-employed, she's still going to pay that full 12.4%. Now, let's look at Roberto, on the other hand, works for Johnson Manufacturing. And because he does, the employer is half of the total that we calculated up here in 9-11. So now we're just going to divide that by 2. So they are only paying, Johnson Manufacturing is only paying 6.2%. So that's where we come up with the $465. Then 10-13 says, if a taxable wage base were to increase to $135,000, how much do the employer and employee pay in total for OASDI each monthly pay period? So now we're saying this wage base, okay, is increasing to $135,000. So really the only person that that's going to affect is Anna, because she makes more than that wage base. So for OASDI, right, now it's going to be $135,000 divided by 12 times the 12.4% to get to $1,395. And that's slightly more than up here, which you would expect, okay? So just to recap, okay, FICA is the whole, is all the OASDI plus Medicare Part A. So 6.2% plus 1.45% equals the 7.65. So when you see that in your paycheck, that's what is being taken out, okay? And it makes a difference if you're self-employed or if you work for an employer. This is how much comes out of your paycheck, and this is what the employer is paying. What else? I think that's about it.